So there's a couple like folklore things that I've heard about certain songs like Billie Jean having like, close to 100 different versions of the mix. And then I've heard that the first time you mixed Thriller was not great. I don't know how that could be. Truth?
Multiple urban legends. Well, let's take them one at a time.
People always told me, be careful what you do. Don't go around breaking young girls' hearts. Don't break no.
Billie Jean was not mixed 90 sometimes because if you just do the math, it doesn't work out that we had that much time in the studio to mix it that many times. Bruce was trying to make a point because he said in the story, we went back and we ended up choosing mix number 2. The point that Bruce was making, in which he goes to, if you hear his full telling of the story, is trust your instincts with what you feel in your gut, which is generally what you get like in your first or your second pass of a mix. You're reacting to it emotionally as opposed to cerebrally. You're not.
Well, how many did he actually do then?
Maybe half a dozen. I would have to go back to
that's
documentation.
I get the
but
idea.
It's a much smaller
It's
number.
much less.
It's just that Bruce was exaggerating it to make this point about trust your instincts. Feel what you feel, and when you got that feeling right, don't feel that you got to tweak it, for 3 days because you're going to make it better because you aren't.
So he mixed it probably more times than even he needed to, right? That was the point.
No, it was as many mixes as it needed to be.
And they went back and what was that process though? You would go back and listen to them all, or you just go, no, this is getting worse, or how did they know?
Quincy was the guy who was not doing the mixing. He was sitting over on the side of the room. So as they would go by, if he was feeling something was good in a certain mix, and we did several, he'd go back and play mix whatever. And if we had just completed mix 6, and then we put mix 2 up and listened to mix 2, and everybody went, oh, yeah. We see what you mean. Everybody would then go, oh yeah, okay. We've got the barometer here.
But you could see even these pros that you just don't know always when you first finish something. You go, well, we got to do another one. You don't necessarily know if you can beat it or not, and then you find out if you're worse when you go back and listen to it, right?
Yeah, and the best thing is to have a little break of time, because what happens is your mind becomes saturated and conditioned when you hear the same thing like 50 times in a row. You're not gonna, but when then you step away from, then everybody would leave the control room and take a 5 or 10 minute break, and then everybody would come in with their ears being, a little bit less saturated and listen, and then say, oh, okay, it's clear.
I want to tell you about a few things that we have now. My course, Think Like a Synth, where you can learn the exact method that I've used on hit records and films for over 40 years. We have a Patreon where you can get exclusive videos that aren't available anywhere else, and you can be a part of our interactive live streams. Go to anthonymarinellimusic.com to get exclusive free content and find out more. And don't forget to like and subscribe, leave a comment, and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. Did you guys blow it the first time you mixed Thriller?
What happened?
The whole album?
Yes. What happened was we got off track schedule on the recording of Thriller because Steven Spielberg and Quincy Jones and thought it was this great idea. And Michael was so excited to do the
E.T. Storybook.
E.T. Storybook album, which took about, I want to say, about 3 weeks of time, probably total, away from all of the scheduled time. Maybe it was 2.5, but it took away a large enough chunk of time that when we came back, we were working extremely long hours to just complete all the necessary.
So I didn't know this because I did some work on the E.T. Storybook album, but when that was happening, did you guys stop work on Thriller? Or was
Yes.
so Thriller wasn't still background on, in one of the other rooms or anything. It was just we're doing E.T. for 2.5 weeks and we're stopping Thriller?
For 2 weeks, yes.
Who would have thought this?
There was a point in time when we were finishing up the E.T. where they jumped back in and they did a little bit of work on Thriller.
But your mind is just off, like
Yeah.
after a while. Like, but this great album, this landmark,
Yeah.
There's no words to describe it. Album, just you guys just walked away from it and just kind of had to get back into it.
Well, we had to get back into it, but in order to get back into it, we now had to do extremely long days. I mean, we were working 14, 16 hours a day.
Because you had a deadline.
Yeah, that last month, because Quincy was the producer, he was committed to meeting the deadline. And Quincy was a record executive at one point. He knew the importance of deadlines, especially for potentially an album that was going to be very important to the record company. So we worked extremely long hours. Everybody was tired. Everyone was fatigued. Bruce got a hotel room in town, so we didn't have to make the drive home. And I was surviving on the bare minimum of sleep that I knew I could.
Because you were last to leave.
Yeah,
Probably first to arrive too.
yeah. And even when we went to bringing Umberto Gatica on for the last 2 weeks, they were staggered, so I'd have to come in early to start one room,
Yeah.
and then I'd be in the room that was free, and then I would be catching up on work until Umberto would come in the early afternoon, and then I'd work with him, and then Bruce would leave early, and then I would hopscotch
Yeah.
between rooms.
That's there's no rest for the weary, because in fairness, I think it's fair to say that there was nobody that could really deal with all of the technical considerations that had the knowledge or the experience other than you. So you had to be there.
Yes, but also too, everyone else was not of clear, bright, cleared mind, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed. Oh boy, I'm really clear. I can see, I understand this. No, everybody's like, oh my God,
And it's so funny with-
Coffee. I gotta say,
But it was E.T. that derailed it. That's just
Yes, it
so
was.
ironic.
And the ironic part is that the E.T. album got pulled with a legal injunction, so it didn't even get released and see the light of day. But so everybody is working extremely long hours, extremely fatigued at that point when you need to be the sharpest and clearest.
Right.
So we didn't do our best job across the board. No one was on the money.
For mixing, we're talking
For
about.
mixing, for finishing it up, for finishing the overdubs and mixing. And we had 2 rooms going around the clock, and we had 3 engineers. It was Bruce, it was me, and it was Umberto. And I remember we walked out of the studio. Bruce had already taken the master tapes to Bernie Grunman, and while we were doing the last final mix, that we then messengered over so that Bruce could cut it into the album. And that last day was 20, for me, I don't know, it was 28 hours or something. I don't know what it was. When they then mastered this, they realized what they had was not what they expected.
So then this is true.
Yeah.
And there was a listening party?
There was a listening party that was the managers, a couple record execs, Quincy, Bruce, Michael. Bruce walked in with the lacquer ref for mastering, and I was just breaking down the studio, and this is like noon on the very last day, and he looked at me, and he said, "Matt, go home," and I could tell something was wrong, because he was totally dejected. And as opposed to just coming from mastering and saying, boy, we got it, it's done.
He knew.
He knew. He heard it when he heard it in mastering, he knew.
So he had enough time away from the mix just by the time he got to mastering.
Yeah,
It wasn't that close.
They were trying to
wasn't that
fit
far away, I mean.
too much material on vinyl, and as you know, the physical limitation of time on vinyl is a component of sound quality. They all relate. So when they had the playback party, everybody was just like...
Really? Everyone, even the record guys could tell?
No.
How could it be that bad
the
with
record-
the team we just talked about? All this great stuff, greatest musicians, greatest producers, greatest engineers, greatest arrangers, great songs, the whole thing, right? And then all of a sudden,
No, the record company guy was the only guy that had a smile on his face because he thought the deadline had been met.
He just-
the album
hit
is
the
done.
mark.
And everybody else is like, looking at the ceiling and the floor and going like, this can't be released. This
that
is
bad though, an entire album. You didn't hear it like from one song to the other and go, this is going sideways.
There was no point in time when we
Wow.
had the luxury of putting the album together and hearing what it sounded like
Yeah.
with all of the
Never
finished
heard it.
mixes. No.
Maybe there's a lesson there, I guess.
Yes,
So you
exactly.
listen to your track before you're done.
Yes, yes. So,
And you wouldn't have had the party probably. You would
well,
say,
it
"We gotta-"
wasn't really this party, but I guess
Well.
the story goes that the record exec guy was popping the champagne cork, thinking, and everybody else was, Michael left the room, went from Studio A where they were doing the playback to Studio B and just cried. I mean, he totally broke down and was in tears. Quincy was like, this can't go out. And Bruce and Rod and all the other people were going like, this isn't what we're looking for. Because the record label is going to release this for the holiday season, which is a big event in the era of physical product, is meeting that Christmas season. And Quincy called Yetnikoff and said, this ain't happening. And whatever it is he had to say to Yetnikoff, he bought us another week of time.
But then the first thing I heard that Quincy did was he said, we're taking 3 days off.
Well, what we did, that was Friday, and we took the weekend off. And everybody went home, everybody slept, everybody had like normal meals, and everybody recharged their batteries and got their hearing kind of back to a perspective that was normal. And then we hit it on Monday, and we mixed that entire next week, every single song, and we did it exactly at the pace that it should be done at, which I had done on all of the previous projects with Bruce and Quincy up to that point. We knew exactly how much time we were going to take to do all the songs, and that's what we did. And that was the second set of mixes.
And that's the one that stuck.
And the first set of mixes are gone.
You know, this is the greatest story because, you know, when we're all going through it and we're just thinking, you know, you've been at it too long, even the greatest of the greats, like everything great, and you guys mixed an entire album and couldn't tell that it wasn't going to work.
Bruce, at one point in time, I don't know what day in that sequence of that last week was, but he literally said, bring me a packing blanket, because we used packing blankets for isolation. Brought him a packing blanket. He laid it on the floor. He rolled up in the packing blanket and rolled himself underneath the console to get some sleep.
Oh, he was done.
Well, yeah, we were all fried. We were all
Get me a packing
completely, you know, we were functioning humanly. We were able to speak and talk and, you know, act, but we weren't able
Yeah.
to evaluate the music that we were trying to create.
And all the things that we said about leaving room and letting the
Yeah.
ideas pass through. Basically, you got to give back to yourself, right? The human cannot just go forever.
That's
and
right.
I think that's it. Just you have to be aware to give back to yourself so that you can and that's a gift that we're given, like that every night we could, just a good night's sleep. We recharge in so many ways.
Yeah.
And we all have to do it. If these guys had to do it, we definitely have to do it. If you like this video, click right here. There's another video I know you're gonna love. And if you wanna go deeper into synthesizers, click right here and check out my course, Think Like a Synth. It's the exact method that I've used on hit records and films, and I know you can learn it too. Looking forward to seeing you on more videos.